Last year, it hosted 2,000 attendees from 30 states and 9 nations, making it one of the largest logistics events in the country. Greetings, everyone. It's Tuesday, February 11th, 2014, and this is Tech Talk with Technology Association of Georgia President Tino Mantella. I'm your guest host, Frank Baia. Coming next month, it's the 2014 Georgia Logistics Summit, a unique event with a 6-year established reputation for delivering the highest quality speakers in a network environment simply like no other. It happens again this March 18th and 19th, and it is packed with valuable business information and keynote industry speakers. Up to the Tech Talk, Paige Siplon, the Executive Director of the Georgia Center of Innovation for Logistics and the Industry-Focused Division of the Georgia Department of Economic Development. The center is the state's leading resource for fueling logistics industry growth. Under his leadership, the center created and hosts the now premier annual Georgia Summit, the only industry-driven state-led event of its kind and size in the nation. Paige was recently recognized as one of the top 10 logistics professionals in the country and selected by Georgia Trend magazine as one of the top 100 most influential Georgians in 2013. Recognized with endless list of accolades, award recognitions, and industry leadership roles by both state and federal officials. He was recently named Division Director for the entire 7 Centers of Innovation for the state of Georgia. Gain insights into this year's event, discover what's new and different that will directly affect your bottom line, and learn why it's a must-attend, whether you're in or about the logistics industry in the South, the country, or across the globe. We Tech Talk Georgia on the move. It's movers and shakers, both big and small, that make our state's logistic industry and infrastructure world-class. It's the 2014 Georgia Logistics Summit, March 18 and 19 at the World Congress Center. As we speak with Executive Director, Center of Innovation for Logistics, and the founding organizer of the summit, Paige Siplon. This edition of Tech Talk is brought to you by GlobalSpeak.com, new media consultants, corporate video and audio communications, video and audio production and distribution, live and virtual event production. Tag TV and Tag Radio is a service of GlobalSpeak.com, creatively delivering powerful marketing, video, and audio solutions. Paige, welcome to Tech Talk.
Thanks, Frank. How are you?
Well, congratulations. I know we're going to want to talk about this year's summit that's coming up next month, but before we get on to that, you've been recently named Division Director for all the Centers of Innovation. Give us a little inside scoop on that. Tell us about it.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. I'm pleased to do it. I think of myself as sort of the chief cheerleader for our 6 centers. We've got about 6 different industry segments that represent strategic industries for the state of Georgia. Just for reference, aerospace, agribusiness, energy technology, life sciences and IT, logistics, of course, that I also run, and manufacturing. Represents a wide range of different industries for the state, and each one of them has a lot of exciting, cool things going on, a lot of technology development, a lot of new innovations coming out of those industries.
From a standpoint of an SME or even a larger company that's in some of those verticals, should they be aware of what you're doing? Do they make contact with you? I mean, what would be their benefit in terms of engaging with you? If that's what they're supposed to do.
No, we'd encourage all your listeners to reach out to us, because I can almost promise you we got a fit or some sort of advice or help we can provide to your listeners. Like you said, whether they're a SME or a small business or somebody just trying to start out or a large established enterprise. We use the motto of connect, compete, and grow. And that's a lot of what we spend our time doing, is helping companies figure out how they're going to grow their business. When we go in to talk to companies, we ask a pretty simple question, and this goes across the board for all those industries. We ask, how are you going to double your business this year? Uh-huh. And, sometimes the answer is pretty simple, but a lot of times it deals with, they need to get new customers, or they need to be able to tap into emerging markets, or they need to deploy a new technology, or they need to use a new technology in their operations to be able to meet the demands of a growing and changing industry. And we help them connect and start that process, whether that means university research or whether it means connecting into one of the companies in our network.
That we often say here that it's all about the same thing, only different, meaning the impact of well, I think the tipping point was when analog went digital, and now it's a case where it's all about clouds and apps and high-speed connectivity, impacting every one of those verticals, I would assume.
Oh, completely. In different ways, right? It's the same but different. Like you said, it's each one of those industries has different segments that are growing faster than others.
Innovation and the digital economy, it's synonymous. I know our time is short, so I want to move into the actual logistics, because one of the things that's happened, I think, is that I think, a few years back, if you're in logistics, it was serious business and it meant a lot to you. After you got through with it, it became the premier event of the year. I think it pretty much is a sold-out ticket. It doesn't matter. I'm not sure it's all logistics people that go to it anymore. I think it's just one big networking event. You serve as the executive director of the Center of Innovation for Logistics.
Right.
Go into that one a little deeper so that we can get a better example maybe of what some of the others might do.
Yeah, so you look at logistics and transportation. Really, you think about those other industries I mentioned previously, it's a common denominator. It doesn't matter what kind of product you have or what kind of industry you're in. You got to get that product to a customer. Whether that product is a service, maybe a little bit differently, but you got to deliver products to customers. You got to do it effectively. You got to do it efficiently. You got to do it cost effectively as well.
Should I pull the rug and say 3D printing?
3D printing, a huge game changer to what's going to happen in manufacturing. Big game changer for what's going to happen in the supply chains that support them.
And I think it's an example, though, of the kind of disruption that's happening in every one of the verticals. But
sure. Look at e-commerce, right? I take that back. E-commerce, right? That's so 1990 now, or even 2000 now. It's S-commerce and M-commerce, and how do you make money off Twitter, and how is that going to change your supply chain if you're a manufacturer? So it's a neat conversation to have, and a very powerful one for the bottom line of companies. And so we talk a lot about that at the summit. We started 6 years ago with about 400 people at a luncheon. When I go out and talk to companies, what I found was a lot of folks, if I sat down with a trucking company, let's say, they had some pretty common questions. Hey, well, when I asked that, how are you going to double your business? They would say things like, or the conversation would go towards, well, what's going on in aerospace, or what's happening at the ports? What's going on in railroads, or what's going on in air cargo? And I said, I don't know, why don't we just get together and have lunch in a sort of a joking way? And frankly, that's what we did. And it is then, like you said, grown into an event that, frankly, is a lot more than Georgia as far as its content and certainly as far as its attendees. Last year was our biggest year. Every year we've had it has been our biggest year. In 2013, we had over 2,000 attendees from 30 states and 9 countries.
Wow.
And it looks like this year's going to be even bigger and better than that.
Well, in the digital economy, they talk about where state economies can actually provide the kind of leadership that dominates a particular market. I mean, we're not talking about tomorrow, but over the course of the next several years, I think what you're kind of describing is something we've seen happen in health IT, fintech.
Sure.
That is a case where it takes a leader, it takes a visionary to say, wait a minute, I'm hearing your problem here, I'm hearing the same problem here. Why don't we all get together and talk about it? And I think the magic of that, you could say it was dynamic, but I think it was almost phantasmagoric, because 6 years ago when you did it, nobody was doing it.
Right.
And not only was nobody doing it in logistics, most of the verticals weren't cross-marketing their individual platforms to the subsets of those verticals the way that got presented at the summit. So I can appreciate that the issues aren't only from an industrial standpoint, an industry standpoint, but they're geographic as well and impact states.
Very true. I think that's one of the things that has set Georgia apart, and the innovation centers are certainly a piece of that, is focus, right? Mm-hmm. Expertise and focus, technical expertise in particular. But that focus on aerospace and having experts and a team here at the Department of Economic Development that we're a division of, focus on the aerospace needs. Because frankly, the aerospace needs are different than agriculture needs. And we need to have people that can sit down, talk shop, understand the trends, know what's going on in the industry, and help those companies connect, compete, and grow. And that's certainly true for logistics. We look forward to growing these summits into things that other industries can do as well. But I think logistics was the right place to start, because it is such a common theme across industries and on everybody's mind.
And somewhat static, certainly been impacted by computers and by digitalization a long time ago. Sure. But a lot of traditionalists that I'm sure, not maybe Luddites, but they didn't like change and had to see it coming and embrace it. Otherwise, it happens to you and not for you. And I think that's what you've presented many times as far as these summits in the past have gone. Tell us, give us an insight about what's going to happen this year, and especially, is there anything new or different that's going to be happening?
Yeah, we're actually extending the program. We were flattered that last year and in years past we asked, okay, how can we improve? And they said, give us more, right? Almost across the board, give us more content, give us more networking, give us more insight. And we're doing that this year. So we've added almost another half a day of content on the front end. We've got a session, just quickly, we've got a session on international trade, focusing on India, Japan, and Canada, with people from around the world giving expertise there. We're doing a session on manufacturing, the logistics of manufacturing. Again, big brand names that you'll recognize. And then really our governor always kicks us off. We've got a great transportation update panel. Our 3 breakout sessions this year that we call opportunity sessions. And let me just mention, we call them opportunity sessions because we put people in the mix that actually can deliver opportunities, right? These are folks that are looking for partners, folks that are moving a lot of freight, doing a lot of logistics, but they're the customers, right? So you've got Home Depot and Walmart and Target and Chicken of the Sea, the tuna fish company, and Blue Links, the world's largest building materials provider, all talking about what they need and what they look for in logistics partners. Be it technology, you're going to hear a lot of those different themes. Our opportunity sessions this year, just for closing, are on imports, exports, and domestic, those 3 different verticals. And the reason we pick those is because, frankly, we see across the industry in logistics that those verticals, in many ways, those lines are blurring.
Really?
Large companies, our lunch keynote is the Vice President of Transportation for Walmart. And as the world's largest retailer, you can imagine most people don't think of Walmart as an exporter. But they're shipping products to every corner of the world. Requires a different kind of supply chain, as well as being able to import products from China and Vietnam and other places to service the stores that you and I shop at here. And then to make that work, you got to have a great domestic transportation network to be able to actually move those products. So those 3 verticals are going to be very important for companies to understand how they're different, but then also, and how the technology is different for each of those, but then also how the technology ties them all together. That's where I think that companies are going to figure out how they're going to compete and grow in the future.
Okay, so now everybody is saying that information's on overload. I can get all the information I want. I can spend hours searching on the Internet. The biggest issue is attention. I've got to be able to apply a certain level of figuring out what is really important and what is not. Mm-hmm. Where I'm headed is I've got a lot of places I can go next month. What kind of return on investment, if you will, can I expect if I attend the conference, attend the summit?
Well, first of all, the investment is very low, and we do that because I'm not a conference planner. I run an innovation center for the state of Georgia, and we do this just to bring people together. So what I tell you is for $50, which is the price of admission, you not only get breakfast, 2 lunches, a cocktail reception with hors d'oeuvres, and you also get content and networking that you literally cannot get anywhere else. So if your company is one that moves products, or if you have customers that expect to get deliveries, you're going to meet people there that are doing it, some that are doing it that could be partners for you, but you're going to meet shippers of products that don't normally come out and speak in conferences like this.
Well, if you're involved in directly or indirectly and you want to know and learn more about logistics and learn about the opportunities that are involved in logistics, this is something that's really nearby. And I have to laugh, Paige, when you said $50. I spent that on dinner for 2 at Provino's last night. So,
yep.
That's ridiculously a low-cost investment, but for a major, major return. One last question, maybe give our listeners a little bit of insight as to where do we sign up, how do we find out more information, and is there a website we can go to register?
Yeah, 2 important things I tell you. One, pretty simple to remember, I think, from this conversation, georgialogistics.com, all spelled out. georgialogistics.com. Click on the Summit tab, and you can register right there. You can also read the full agenda and see all the different speakers and shippers that I talked about a little of. And you can register there, or you can sign up and get a whole table for $700. You get a table for 10 with your company brand on it. Invite your customers. The other thing I'd tell you is that the partnership we have with the Technology Association of Georgia, anybody that signs up for the summit can also attend the TAG Technology Summit, which is in the beginning of April, at membership prices. So, and that's something that the TAG has extended because there is such an overlap from your comments, and that you and I both know well, and your listeners probably do as well if they're listening to this. That connection between technology and logistics is alive and well, and we want to reinforce that. So people that come to the Logistics Summit can attend the TAG Summit for for membership prices, which is a pretty good deal, and another huge event focused on technology.
Really, it just compounds the value. I was just thinking as you were wrapping up, again, 6 years, I can't believe it's been that long. It just seems only a couple of years ago that you launched that thing. But the change in the dynamics that you brought to that innovation center really looks like something that's going to happen across all of the others. There's been a lot going on in every one of them in the past, but now it's a case I think those are just going to be multiplied and compounded. Paige, thank you so much for taking time out what I know is a busy schedule with all the things you do and heading up to the deadline of the summit that's coming up. But thank you again for taking time to visit with us today on Tech Talk.
Anytime. Always a pleasure.